morning, everyone. As we gather virtually today from all across the Ottawa region, we acknowledge that we are located on the traditional and ancestral territories of the Algonquin people. We recognize that their long standing relationship with this land, which remains unceded. My name is Natasha.
And I'm Scott. We are grade 12 students at Sir Wilfrid Laurier Secondary School, and we are very excited to be here with Miss McKinnon's grade 11 fitness class, Miss Pro's grade 12 phys ed class, and Mr. Varn's grade 9 phys ed class, as well as everyone viewing this broadcast over our live stream to interview Ottawa Redblacks and Sir Will alumni Brendan Gillanders.
Welcome, Brendan, and thank you for being here with us today.
Hey, thank you guys. My pleasure. Happy to be here.
Before we begin, please note that at any time, viewers may send us questions for Brendan using the question and answer function on the live stream or a Google Meet link, which is located for the YouTube link.
Also a reminder that this meet is being recorded for future publication to the NCSSAA YouTube channel. Now, for a short biography about Brendan Gillanders. Brendan grew up in Orleans, where he began playing football at the age of 10 with the Cumberland Panthers, then later with the Sir Wilfrid Laurier High School Lancers. After graduating from high school, he played for his hometown University of Ottawa GGs from 2009 to 2013. The 5'11", 211-pound running back was named a first-team OUA All-Star three-time in 2011, 2012, and 2013, as well as an All-Canadian in 2013.
In 2013, Brendan signed with the Toronto Argonauts. He played a total of 2 seasons with the Argos. Brendan joined his hometown Ottawa Redblacks in 2016. That season, Brendan and the Redblacks went to beat the Calgary Stampeders in the 104th Grey Cup. In the offseason, he works as a strength and conditioning coach and volunteers with various Ottawa area youth football teams.
Team in the league with a 0. And up the pipe. Gillanders scooting out with a huge run for Brendan Gillanders. Out of the hole immediately after finding the hole. He's had a couple boomers here.
Come on, get out of here.
Frankie Williams trying to find a seam, and the edge slipped up, brought down. And look who it is, Brendan Gillanders.
Holy guacamole, that's impressive. All right,
That
so
was
now we have
very
some
cool.
questions. Our first question is, as a student athlete at the high school and university level, how were you able to balance your athletics and academics? What was the biggest difference at the university level?
Scheduling becomes a huge part of it. Obviously, the student is the first word in student athlete. If you don't take care of your grades, there's a trickle-down effect, and it starts to affect other areas of your life as well. So the easiest thing to do in high school is to make sure that you get your grades taken care of, and a lot of other pieces fall into place. That way you open up a lot of opportunities for yourself that way as well. You can't go on to play university football if you can't get into university based on your grades. Doesn't matter how good of a football player you are or athlete you are. So that's the first thing. And then I think the biggest difference between university and high school is university, very first day in each class, you get basically the entire semester laid out for you in terms of due dates, and submission dates. It's not like you get weekly or daily homework like you do in high school. It's kind of like 2 months from the first day, you might have an exam. 3 months, you might have a paper due. In December, you have an exam, and that's it. So taking care of your scheduling and writing down all of the important dates each semester is huge in terms of prioritization in what you should be working on when. And the sooner you can figure that out, the easier it becomes. How much time to dedicate to each class, how much time to dedicate to each paper, when to start each paper, and it'll make your whole life a lot easier if you can get organized right off the first day. So I always tell any of my high school athletes, the very first thing that you should do is create your semester schedule with all the important dates, and the very first date of the very first class of university is probably the most important class that you'll go to, because that's when it's all laid out. So the sooner you can get your schedule in order, the easier your life will be.
Thank you. That's actually going to help all of us grade 12s who are going on to post-secondary next year. While you were growing up, who was your role model?
Probably my parents. My parents for very different reasons. My dad's work ethic has always been absolutely crazy. For the first 10 years of my life, he was an active member of the Canadian Forces. He served in the Navy for 20 years. So we hopped around from city to city a little bit when I was younger. But even through there, I mean, he got out of the armed forces and became a volunteer firefighter. He was doing the firefighter challenges. After he stopped being a volunteer firefighter, he started running marathons. It was like he just always needed something to do, or a new challenge to accomplish. And I always really admired that about him. So looking up to him for things like that, and I think that is where I get my work ethic from, because I was just kind of watching him when I was growing up, and he just never stopped. And then obviously my mom, as I said, a lot of the forgotten things about the military life is the spouses and being able to take care of the home. I mean, my mom, for the first few years of our life, a lot of the time when my dad was at sea, would be raising me and my two sisters by herself while working as well. And you know, I never missed out on any sports. When I was 3 years old, starting playing hockey, she was the only mom in the change room tying up my skates. So I always admired her ability to take care of us that way, and making sure that we got to do the things that we wanted to be able to do. And it's not always easy being the person at home taking care of everything. So I definitely grew up admiring both my parents for very different reasons.
Yeah, the military lifestyle is an interesting one. It really affects everyone, eh?
Absolutely.
Our next question is, you have had to deal with injuries and adversity during your career. How are you able to stay focused and overcome these setbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think what separates a lot of the high-end athletes from amateur athletes is just the level of competitiveness that they have. And it's not really something that you can turn off outside of your sport. I mean, I had my first knee surgery playing football for Sir Will, actually. So my first knee surgery in grade 9. My second year university, I broke my leg on the first carry of the season. I missed that entire season. My fourth year university, I had a fractured dislocation in my foot and required surgery, and I've still got pins and screws in my foot from that. My first year with the Redblacks in 2016, I fractured my femur in training camp. And you know, it's like I said, the competitiveness just never turns off. I love playing football. And it just was one more challenge. It's no different than every single play trying to get into the end zone. That's the goal, but you just have to attack it differently. And if you have the goal of playing football professionally, and you're able to put the blinders on and become nearsighted into what it's going to take to do that, then it just becomes easy. No different than anything else. It's the exact same thing. I mean, getting good grades, as silly as this is going to sound, me saying that getting good grades is easy. While it might seem challenging for some, it's a matter of perspective and the amount of effort that you put into it. And it's no different dealing with injuries or trying to get better at anything in life, for that matter.
Yeah, injuries really suck. So with this crazy 2020 virus going around. How has that been? How has the year been for you? Like, have you had a lot more of an off season than an on season? How have your training? How has it all been altered?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, just like the rest of the world, our stadium gym got shut down last March. So I guess we're coming up on the year anniversary of when all this chaos kind of started. And March, April, May, June, all of last year, I was basically training in my basement like everybody else in Canada. And I was running on pavement at a school bus drop-off zone of a school that is close to me, because that was the only area that was always paved, and I didn't have to worry about getting hit by cars when I was running. So it was a difficult transition. And then obviously, as the summer went on, it was kind of, is the season going to happen? Is the season not going to happen? And then mid-August, we found out that the season wasn't going to happen. And obviously that was a little disappointing for a number of reasons, but just the amount of effort. Like, we have basically a 6th or 7th month off season to get ready for a season. So the amount of training and hours that we put into that for the season to get canceled is extremely disheartening. But like anybody else in life, I consider myself fortunate. Obviously, I had my health with everything going on in the world. I obviously still had a purpose. I knew that I was still under contract for 2021. And then it's just about becoming refocused and taking a little bit of time off to readjust, and for mental health purposes as well, being able to take a step back and reevaluate the situation and realize that my family's healthy. It could be a lot worse. And then after that little mental health break, you get right back into it, and it becomes off season for 2021. And training's been going well. It's been difficult. Obviously, my off season job is working in a gym primarily. So, I mean, that's been off and on because gyms keep getting shut down and then reopened and shut down and reopened. But like I said, perspective is everything. It could always be so much worse than I had it. And unfortunately, a lot of people in Canada did have it a lot worse than I had it. People losing jobs, people being sick. So I still consider myself fortunate. And now it's just all eyes on 2021 season, and hoping that happens, whatever it looks like and when it starts. But I've been training full time at our stadium gym since mid-January. So everything's going well, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, just gotta keep staying positive and moving through it, eh?
Absolutely.
So what advice would you have for students looking to play sports at the university level?
Like I kind of already alluded to, take care of your grades, especially if you're looking to get into an Ontario school. Athletic scholarships are dependent on grades. You need a certain grade point average. Doesn't matter how good of an athlete you are to get the scholarship in university. And I'll give a little bit of a long-winded story here. But I didn't do it properly. I didn't take care of everything. I was an honor roll student from grades 9 to 11. I was always good at the math sciences. I knew I wanted to go into a science-based university program. I took all the right classes, but when I was in grade 12, the year that actually mattered, I was playing varsity football, so senior varsity football from grades 9 to 12, or sorry, from grades 11 to 10 to 12. So the majority of my friends had graduated the year before when I was in grade 12, and were already playing football at the university level. And I didn't take care of my grades, and I backed myself into a corner. I mean, I had pretty much every university in Canada telling me they want me to come there and play football for them. I had a couple of NCAA opportunities as well. And at the end of the day, I didn't get into the program that I wanted to get into anywhere. So luckily, at the time, the University of Ottawa was a top 3 football program in the country. And I wasn't really willing to go anywhere else. I knew I wanted to take either kinesiology or human kinetics. And since I didn't get into those programs anywhere else, I wasn't willing to move away from home to take a general arts or social sciences degree. Not that there's anything wrong with those degrees whatsoever. It's just university is a lot of money to take a degree that you don't want to take. Just for the sake of playing football. So I ended up going to the University of Ottawa in social sciences my first year, with the plans that I'd put my foot down and get good enough grades to transfer over into human kinetics in year 2. And that's what ended up happening. I was fortunate. I worked my butt off in first year university. I had the grade point average that I needed to get, and was able to transfer over into human kinetics my second year, and ended up graduating from university with a degree I never got into in the first place. So I guess I finessed the system a little bit, but it's a cautionary tale I tell everyone. It would have been so much easier just to keep doing what I was doing the first 3 years of high school, and to get into the University of Ottawa and not have to waste that first year essentially in university. So it's a cautionary tale that you need to take care of your grades first and foremost. If I've seen it happen so many times. I talk to a lot of recruiting coordinators at a lot of universities, and the very first thing they'll ask high school coaches, and a lot of the high school coaches that are watching this can attest to it, what are the kids' grades like? Because university coaches don't want guys that are going to play 1 year and then fail out of university. They want guys that are dependable, and a lot of the time there's a steep learning curve, especially when you talk about football. Learning a new playbook from high school to university, it's literally like learning a new language in about 3 weeks of training camp. You need to be smart to be able to do that. So, you know, taking care of your grades and being able to say, hey, listen, I've got a 90% average right now. I'm taking care of everything else as well. I'm the type of student you want is the easiest way to get noticed. Then obviously your play will speak for itself, but you need to be able to create opportunities and open doors with your grades first and foremost.
Yeah, grades sadly are super important even when you only want to play sports.
They are.
So you were a 2016 Grey Cup champion. Tell us about that experience a little bit.
It was a little crazy, in all honesty. It was my first year with the Redblacks. I missed the first 8 games of the season. Like I already kind of alluded to, I broke my leg in training camp and missed the first 8 games. So I didn't make my Ottawa debut until week 9. And then, in all honesty, like the season is super long. In university, you play 8 games in the regular season. In CFL, you play 18 games plus 2 preseason games. So it's like, it feels like the season goes on forever when you're in it. But then looking back, it's like all a blur. So the Eastern Final, we hosted the Eastern Final. It was like a crazy snow game. There was like a foot of snow on the ground. We played Edmonton, is crazy, chaotic, fun. And then when you win the Eastern Finals, you literally have like a 24-hour period to get everything ready, figure out who you're taking to the Grey Cup, who you're flying with, arrange all the travel and stuff like that. And then you're there. We were playing in Toronto, so you actually show up a full week before the Grey Cup, and you stay in Toronto because there's so many media obligations. And it's funny because you practice, but you don't really practice. It's more of just kind of like jog throughs almost, and it's super easy to get distracted by everything that's going on. Like I said, there's media breakfast, media lunch, media dinners, award shows, all that sort of thing. But in all honesty, the coolest part that you're there for the week is the nation coming together, really. Like the fans from all over Canada pre-buy these tickets months in advance, hoping that their team's going to be there, right? So each city kind of is represented like in its own hotel. So you'll be walking downtown Toronto and see like 100 Calgary Stampeders fans out of nowhere, and then the next block you'll see 200 Saskatchewan Rough Riders fans out of nowhere. And it's kind of cool. It gives you a perspective of how big the league is and the type of support that we get from coast to coast. And then the Grey Cup, honestly, it's just like another game for us. Like we're in the change room for all the pregame stuff. We're in the change room for the halftime show. We don't get to experience any of that. So when it's time to actually play the game, it's really doesn't feel that much different than any other game. The unique part about the 2016 Grey Cup is that we won it in overtime, which is obviously extremely rare for a Grey Cup game to go into overtime. So that was a little fun to be a part of. But watching from the sidelines, they had control of the ball last. So watching that ball hit the ground on an incomplete pass on third down and knowing that we won the Grey Cup, it was pretty fun. And then after the game, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. All the celebrations are pretty much exactly like what you see on TV with the goggles and the champagne and water going everywhere and the change room getting trashed. It's fun. That's all I'll say about that. Is it was a really fun experience and something that I'm proud of that team. And obviously seeing my name on the Grey Cup is something that's really cool and won't ever get old. So it was something that's awesome to be a part of.
So just to go on with this question, do you have your ring nearby?
I do, conveniently located in my pocket. So I'll show you the front here. You won't be able to see the sparkle, but there's about 130 diamonds in total. My name, my number in rubies on the side, and then Ottawa Parliament Buildings on the other side. Yeah, so it's white gold, like I said, about 130 diamonds in total, and I keep it in a very safe spot.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you actually wear it, but looking at how many diamonds and stuff is on it, I'm assuming not very often.
No, I only bring it out a couple of public speaking engagements per year. It doesn't see the light of day too often.
I also sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I was gonna say, move on to next question. You know, how often do you train, right? Like, this is a really big thing being in the CFL, and you know, are you training every day? Like, how often? How many hours?
So right now I'm at the stadium 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. As the season gets closer, training picks up. It goes from more generalized the further away you are from the season to a more specialized regimen the closer we get to the season. So right now I'm lifting weights 4 times a week, and then I'm basically doing some very light cardio and yoga twice a week as well. So in total I'm training about 6 times a week, right now. But like I said, none of it is very specialized at this point. It's all just very general. This year, the one thing that we have the opportunity for is a lot of the time, the off season, like our schedule basically ends at the end of November if we go right into the Grey Cup, and then we pretty much only have a month off. So a lot of the time, training in January and February is really just trying to get our bodies to feel good again after playing maybe a total of 22 games over the course of the summer and the fall. So we have the luxury this year of basically my body feeling better than it ever has in the past 10 years, because last fall was literally the first year since I was probably about 10 years old that I haven't played a season of football in the fall. So the good thing about that is that this year it was kind of like green light. It's January and training can pick up, and we're able to push harder than we normally are after a season.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, it's not fun that it's all canceled, but at least you get a lot more training for next year.
Silver linings, exactly.
There's an online question from the Virtual Academy. Is being Canadian an advantage or a disadvantage in the CFL?
Ooh, that's a good question. So for anybody that's watching that doesn't know the exact rules, basically you have to field a certain amount, you have to dress a certain amount of Canadians. So you have to dress, I think 21 or 22 Canadians for the game. And you have to declare 7 Canadian starters on either the offensive or defensive side of the ball. So you can have like 3 offensive starters be Canadian, 4 defensive side starters be Canadian, doesn't matter, but you have to declare 7. And you have to maintain that ratio on offense and defense the entire game. So to answer the question, does it help you to be a Canadian or does it hurt you? I would say both. It gives you an opportunity to make the dress roster because they have to have that minimum of 21 or 22 Canadians on the roster. The tricky part is when you talk about specific positions. So me being a Canadian running back, it's one of the harder positions to break into the league at, because the majority of teams play with American running backs, and have their Canadian starters elsewhere, either on the O-line or receivers, D-line, linebacker, secondary, that sort of thing. So when they don't have a ton of Canadian talent at the running back position, it makes it very difficult to become a starter, because if, say, I was the starting running back and got hurt, then they would need the second running back to also be Canadian, which is difficult to find. So I would say it depends on the position, whether it hurts or helps you. I mean, I think that it's something that's, the rule in general makes our league extremely unique, and makes fans able to connect with youth sports players and things like that. And it definitely gives Canadians opportunities. But sometimes Canadians are forced to change positions or get pigeonholed into specific roles, because teams want to start Americans at that position.
Okay, I didn't know that they had that a certain amount of Canadians on, and it's actually really interesting to know. So we have another question coming from online from Kelly F. What's your biggest challenge right now?
Biggest challenge right now, probably trying to stay focused. Much like last season, we have dates to report to training camp this year, but obviously normally we start training camp in normally about the third week of May. But with everything that's going on right now, there's no certainty anywhere. So there's a good chance that the start of training camp is going to be delayed. There's a good chance that the start of the season is going to be delayed, and it's just trying to stay focused. I mean, if you go on social media or Twitter or something like that, it's very, very easy to go down a bad rabbit hole with all the coverage that's out there. Obviously, we have news agencies spewing out the daily numbers of positive COVID tests, and you have people around the CFL saying there's not going to be a season, this, that, we won't play without fans. So, you know, it's kind of hard to separate all that stuff and just keep working, because at the end of the day, this is a job for us, and people like to think of us as professional athletes, but I mean, the CFL is not like the NFL, not like the NHL. We get paid well, but nobody's getting paid millions of dollars for 1 year. So I mean, a lot of the guys, especially the younger guys, they're depending on this income, and it can become difficult as to nothing's guaranteed. And like I said, so some of the younger membership of the CFLPA, I feel for them, and just the amount of unknowns that we're facing right now as players is a lot, and it can be distracting, and just being able to keep your head down and keep working and control what we can control is important right now.
That's yeah. So I know for myself, when it comes to nutrition, it's hard to find like a really good plan for yourself. Do you have any advice for high school athletes regarding nutrition?
Yeah, keep it simple. Keep it simple, and stay off of Google. The best resources are resources that you find in person. You know, it's like I talk about, fitness magazines, online supplement blogs, things like that are probably, in all honesty, the worst resources for you guys to sort out, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but there's probably more bad information than good information out there, unfortunately. And you have to understand that supplement companies, a lot of them in Canada, just aren't regulated the way that food is here in Canada. So they're allowed to claim whatever they want. They're allowed to say whatever they want. And I mean, the internet's kind of the Wild West for that. So if you're serious about what you should be eating, registered dietitians, things like that, people that are qualified to give the advice is the first person that you should be talking to. And the other thing I would say is just keeping it simple. Obviously, there's a ton of information out there, but I mean, by this age and by grade 12 or even by high school, you should know what's healthy and what's not by now. And as long as you're trying your best to eat healthy, 70, 80, 90% of the time, you're going to be well on your way to what your diet probably should look like. Obviously, it's easy for things to go awry, especially with everything that's the schedule changes that we've all experienced over the past year. It's been very difficult, and the only thing that I'd say is when you are trying to get back on track, just stay with it. Habits take sometimes a long time to develop, so you shouldn't have negative thoughts about yourself for one or two bad meals. I mean, I eat pizza every single Friday night, and I fit it into my diet because I like pizza. So I mean, it is what it is. You have to enjoy life, and as long as what you're eating, like I said, 70, 80, 90% of the time is good food, then you're on the right track.
Yeah, it's really hard to stay motivated in times like this, you know. So that kind of leads me to my next question, coming from online from Chris. What really kept you motivated as a teenager to keep pursuing your dreams?
Oh man, I had fun. I had fun playing football, and that's so important. I give so much credit to the Cumberland Panthers organization and the coaching staffs that they had. I was fortunate that a lot of my best friends also played football, so it was time that I could spend with my friends, and also guys like Coach Varden at Sir Will and Coach Kokkonen, who's retired now. I mean, they made football so much fun while I was there. It was if nothing else, the reason to go to school. All of my buddies played. Like I said, it becomes a true team, and when your team's made up of some of your best friends, it's motivating in itself. You want to do the little things right for them. You want to experience victories together. You want to experience losses together, and it teaches you a lot of important lessons about life. But in all honesty, I probably didn't even dream about playing football in university until I was probably about 16 years old. I just had fun playing it, and I was fortunate that I had such a positive experience with football growing up that it just kind of snowballed into I eventually became a pretty good player. So yeah, I mean, I just fell in love with the game, and everything else fell in place.
So, leading from that, talking about Mr. Varden and your whole high school experience, what's your favorite memory from Sir Will football?
Favorite memory from Sir Will football. When I was in grade 9, we won the junior city championship, which was super fun. That was a cool experience. Winning, I mean, like I said, when football is such a great metaphor for life, because I mean, you get, especially when I was in grade 9 playing on the junior football team, you literally have players that have never played the sport once in their entire life before they try out for the team. And then you have guys that have played it since they were 10 years old, like me. And, you know, it's different body shapes. They come from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, everything. But I mean, what's so cool about it is you literally all have the exact same goal, and it's about sacrificing for yourself for the betterment of the team. And that's what it's all about. I mean, the friendships that you create through football are often lifelong, and that team will forever be special. And I still have so many friends from that team that I talk to literally almost on a weekly basis. When I was in grade 11, we went to the senior football city championship and lost, unfortunately, but that season still had, again, some fantastic moments with fantastic people, and losing teaches you a lot about life too. I mean, losing brings you together just as much as winning does, almost. It might even bring you together more. So to give examples, I mean, all three members of my wedding party, I got married in 2019, and all three members of my wedding party, my best man and best man and three groomsmen, were all on both the junior football team at Sir Will and the senior football team at Sir Will. So I mean, it tells you what type of relationship you can build through athletics and sports. It doesn't have to be football, any team sport, as long as you put the effort into it and are open to build relationships through the sport.
Wow. So something that I think everyone really wants to know is, this is a three-part question, by the way. What is the typical day in your life like, like right now, during lockdown? What's it like during season? What's it like off season,
Yeah, so off season right now, I'll get up at about 7 o'clock, make myself breakfast, hang out for about 30 minutes, and then I'll take off to the stadium gym. I'll be at the stadium gym, probably running for about an hour, lifting weights for about an hour and a half. I'll finish up at about noon, drive home, have a quick lunch. Then I will be at the gym that I work at, normally from about 3 till 7 at night, doing a mix of coaching high school football guys that are looking to play university football, as well as personal training. And then during the season, I'll normally be up at about 6, drive to the stadium for about 6:45, do a quick 45-minute workout. We get breakfast catered at the stadium, so then I'll hang out, watch some TV. We've got like a big, I don't even know how big it is. It has to be like 80-inch TV in our players' lounge. So I'll grab some food, watch some sports highlights, hang out, relax. We have meetings from 9 till about 11. Then we're on the field from 11:30 till 1:30. Drive home, take my dog to the dog park, make dinner, go to sleep, do it all again. And then off days, in all honesty, during the season, I try and get away from the sport. It's so important to take mental health breaks, or you're going to drive yourself crazy. And when football, it's literally 24/7. If I'm not at the facility, it's watching game film of my opponent coming up. So being able to distance myself from football for a day when we have a day off is extremely important for my mental health, and I make that a priority. So it'll be anything from watching movies, playing video games, playing guitar, going to see live music, going out to a restaurant, playing golf, that sort of thing. Just something that does not involve football whatsoever. Then I'm basically able to recharge on those days and go back into the stadium the next day ready to go.
So before we do the rapid fire questions, I have one question myself. So on game days, I personally like to eat the exact same breakfast every single time I have a game or a tournament. Do you have that like little breakfast food that you eat every single time?
I'm probably 10 times worse than you. I'm a creature of habit. I have to, like, when it's bad, and I actually work with a mental skills coach to try and help me in this avenue, because when things in my schedule get thrown off, I'm not the best, and I can admit that, and that's why I went and seeked help for it, is because I know that it throws me off my game when my schedule gets messed with. Perfect example is when that tornado happened in 2018, I think it was. And I mean, it threw my entire night off, and that was before a game day for us. We had an afternoon game the next day, and I couldn't cook what I wanted to eat on the Friday night. I normally have the same meal the night before. It goes even the day before for me. And I was like all thrown off, and I was like, okay, I need to deal with this. I need to be able to refocus and reorient my thoughts. And so I've been working with a mental skills coach to be able to do that. But yes, the night before, I eat pretty much the exact same meal. The morning of, I eat pretty much the exact same meal. I do the exact same things every single time I go to the stadium. Yes, I definitely have a routine and habits, and I don't like when they're messed with.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It has to be the exact same every single time, every time.
Yeah.
So,
So for our final question, real quick, did you ever have any doubts in yourself or in football in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, self-doubt is definitely something that helps you build as a person. I think that it'd be unrealistic to say that you've never experienced self-doubt, and coming to terms with that is part of personal growth. So it's never about being perfect. It's about constantly trying to grow as a person and as an athlete. And it's something that, in all honesty, I think that you do fight with for your entire career. My first year in Toronto in 2014, it's extremely tough. You know, I went from being an all-Canadian, a guy that got 20 touches per game and led the nation in all-purpose yards, and went from being one of the fastest guys in Canada to being average in the CFL, and having to take on a completely different role, playing special teams primarily as opposed to running back. And in all honesty, I had a ton of anxiety that first year. I was constantly worried about getting released. I was always worried about not dressing that game, and it was something that was very difficult to go through at the time. But the resiliency and the skills that I built from going through that have helped me grow as a person so much. So it's never about, people should never feel bad about the way they feel, and people shouldn't make other people feel bad for the way that they feel. How you feel is how you feel, and being able to get in tune and acknowledge how you feel is one step in the process to being able to grow as a person. So I am, like I said, I think it's all part of personal growth. And I think being able to come to terms with your personal feelings at each moment is a huge step in being able to get past some of the things that you're feeling.
Yeah, that's very important. So now we have some rapid fire questions. So just like answer as fast as you can. I'll start, and Scott and I will just go back and forth between the couple questions that we have listed. So the first one, do you like pineapple on your pizza?
No.
Favorite
What?
shoes?
Favorite shoes?
Yeah.
Chucks.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite movie?
Oh God. Forrest Gump.
Pre-game meal.
Normally pasta, chicken and pasta.
Do you have a favorite pregame playlist?
Yes, it's 90s alternative on Apple Music.
Do you have any game day superstitions?
No, not really. No.
If you were not a professional football player, what would you be doing?
I would love to be in first responders. I would love to be a firefighter.
What was your favorite class in school?
Science.
Are you binging anything on Netflix?
Oh no, this is gonna sound so bad. Right now, my wife and I are on the last season of Dawson's Creek. Yeah.
Did you get forced into
that? I grew up with two sisters. I was a middle child. I never got control of the TV, so I've probably already seen the episodes anyway.
And your favorite play to run in football?
Outside zone.
Who's the greatest NFL QB?
Tom Brady.
That's a good one.
That's, yeah. Those were, I can agree with all those answers except for the no pineapple on your pizza one.
Yeah,
So,
I always do like a barbecue chicken pizza. I love barbecue chicken on the pizza.
It's probably the best one. So yeah, thank you so much, Brendan, for your time and for answering all those questions. I know personally, it was really nice to hear you talk a lot about mental health, especially in a time period like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so important, and it's something the discussion needs to keep being happening. Obviously, a lot of athletes' identity is tied up in their sports. Even guys as young as being in high school, and when the sports get taken away, it's difficult. So it's not something that you should shy away from. If you need to talk about it, and just be able to come to grips with how you feel. Like I said, don't let anybody tell you how you feel is wrong, and try and realize that how you feel is perfectly fine, and growth is going to come from it.
On behalf of the NCSSAA. We really appreciate you speaking with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.